Hello and welcome to another episode of Charge Electric. And I have some good news. I have a date, and my date's name is Zoe. So here we have the Renault Zoe. Now I wanted to find out why Auto Express awarded this car the Affordable Electric Vehicle of the Award 2020. But before I start the video, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to Bristol Street Motors Renault Exeter for lending me this car today. Bristol Street Motors are one of the largest dealer groups in Britain, and they have 6 Renault dealerships from Exeter in the south to Bradford in the north. Renault Exeter is situated on the Marsh Barton estate in Exeter. If you are interested in the Renault Zoe, please give Bristol Street Motors Renault Exeter a visit or a call, where their very friendly and knowledgeable sales staff are on hand to show you how a Zoe could fit into your lifestyle and suit your motoring needs. The Zoe is also available on the Motability scheme, starting from zero advance deposit. Now this particular car is the Renault Zoe GT Line R135, so it has the more powerful of the two motors that you can get in this car. Now when I was going through the specs the other day, I actually found out that this Zoe is actually faster than a Tesla and a Porsche Taycan. But I'll leave that with you for a couple of minutes because I will explain how the Zoe is faster than a Porsche and a Tesla a little bit later on. Now the Zoe is available from £26,995 after the government grant of £3,000, which does make it one of the most affordable electric cars for its range. Any other electric car that costs the same as this one has a shorter range, or any other electric car that has the same range as this car is a lot more expensive. Now, I wasn't particularly a fan of the original Zoe, the looks of it anyway. For me, it just looked a little bit feminine. But I'm pleased to say that this facelift model, the new one, is a much more aggressive style. I really like the creases that run down the bonnet of the car. And the new design of the front bumper and the LED running lights around the headlights and everything looks so much nicer than the first one. So well done, Renault. I do like the look of the new car. Now the side of the car is also quite striking as well. I really like the crease that runs all the way along the door line here and also at the back. Again, it gives it a nice little aggressive style. Now I know some people aren't a fan of the hidden rear door handles that some cars have, but I actually quite like them. It gives the car like a sleeker 3-door feel. Nice and easy to open as well. Now this car also has the 16-inch alloy wheels with the two-tone effect, so almost like diamond cut alloys. They do look quite nice, quite like the little blue detail around the Renault logo there. So yeah, side of the car looks pretty good. And here we have the rear of the car, or the derriere. Yeah, not much to say about the rear. Nice big rear bumper. Yeah, nice little badge. But I do actually quite like the design of the rear light cluster. That actually looks quite good at night when you're following one. Yeah, so nice design light cluster. Yeah, not bad. Now here we have the boot of the Renault Zoe, and as you can see it's actually a decent sized boot, certainly for a vehicle of this class. I mean, after all, it is sits in the Super Mini class, but it is actually a decent sized boot. It's actually bigger than the Peugeot E208 and the Vauxhall Corsa E as well. It goes down quite a way, it's quite deep, but there is a big lip, so if you have heavy items to lift out of the car, you do have to lift it out over this lip. But the seats also fold 60-40 as well, which I'll show you. It's nice and easy. There's just a little button on top of each seat. There's one. And there's the other one. But as you can see, there is a bit of a lip here, and again going up to the rear of the seats. And the seats go about a 30-degree angle, I think. So it's not the most practical shaped boot to load longer items in. You find it difficult to slide anything into the boot. But with the seats folded and the parcel shelf removed, you have got yourself a pretty decent load area. So here we have the business end of the Renault Zoe. So behind the big Renault logo here is the charge ports. And to open the door, you just on the Zoe you can't actually open the door from the outside, so you have to go inside the car, press this little button just on the dash, and the door springs open. There we go. And in here is the AC port. Now this particular Zoe hasn't been fitted with the rapid charge facility, so this is a standard Zoe. So this AC port here is what you would use at home if you had a charger put in at home. But this is the bit of the car that makes it faster than a Tesla and a Porsche. Because on this AC port that the Zoe has, it will actually take 22 kilowatts an hour through the AC port. The Tesla and the Porsche will only accept 11 kilowatts in the AC port. So there you go, it's faster than those two. And here we are inside the car. So, first thing to mention is the instrument cluster. Now, I actually like this instrument cluster. It is simple, easy to read. A lot of manufacturers nowadays seem to be overly complicated when it comes to the instruments, and it's so simple. It tells you everything you need to know. You've got speedo in the middle, you've got your charge status, how much power you're using, consumption. Using the buttons on the steering wheel, you can change what this menu displays as well. So it's just a really, really nice, easy, simple instrument cluster. And in the middle we have the touchscreens. This is the entertainment and sat-nav system. This car has the full sat-nav system fitted, and it also comes as standard with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Again, nice, easy system to use. It's quite slick, it doesn't delay too much, doesn't lag. But yeah, pretty good. The only thing with the center display, it has got quite a thick bezel on here, so it kind of makes it look a little bit outdated, but yeah, it's not too bad. It's nice and easy to see, nice and clear. The rest of the interior, up on top of the dash here, it is actually soft to the touch. It is quite squidgy, which is quite nice. And you've got this nice sort of leather effect with the stitching on the main bit of the dash as well. Again, nice and soft to touch. On the door cards, we've got this interesting fabric here, which yeah, it looks all right, but it's quite hard though. It's not much padding on there. So on the driver's door, if you're one of those people that rests your arm there, how comfortable it will be, especially if you've got bony arms like me. Now on the doors up here, again, some people say it's hard scratchy plastics, but it is certainly not untoward for a car of this price point. It feels quite robust. Now on the steering wheel, like I said, you've got your buttons here which will change what you see on the center display. Your hands-free calling as well, voice recognition. Now what I'm quite pleased to see on the new Zoe is that the cruise control buttons have moved up onto the steering wheel, which makes it very, very easy to use while you're driving. But interestingly, Renault have still got the volume controls for the radio on a little stalk just behind the wheel here, which isn't the end of the world. So they are quite easy to reach while you're driving, but they are kind of hidden out of the way. You can also adjust the volume of the radio on here as well, but I always find it's a little bit fiddly trying to use a touchscreen while you're driving. Which brings me on to the awesome bit of the interior of this car. The ventilation controls. We have knobs and dials. It makes it so easy to use while you're driving. The amount of times I've been driving a car that the ventilation and climate control is up on the touchscreen, and it's an absolute faff to try and adjust while you're driving. So well done Renault for sticking with proper dials. It's so easy to use. Other manufacturers take note. Air conditioning button there as well, full demist, rear demist. But yeah, it's just it looks simple, but it works. Got eco button up here. So you can put the car into eco mode. So if you are doing a long journey and you want to eke out every mile you can pop the car into eco mode, which just sort of basically detunes everything a little bit, sort of dampens down the acceleration and the climate control a little bit as well. Now down here we have 2 USB ports, and here as well we have the drive selector. I almost say gear selector there, but being an electric car there are no gears. Nice and simple. It's just down for drive, all the way up for reverse, and we do have a nice reversing camera on the car as well. Now the car does have regenerative braking, so when you're driving in drive mode and you lift off the accelerator pedal, it kind of decelerates like a normal car would if you're in a, just coming off the throttle. But you can knock it into B mode, which gives you extra regen. Now Renault say this is brilliant in towns, so you get extra regen when you're coasting up to a junction. You can feel the benefit of it. Now I'll try and demonstrate it on the drive in a second. It's not quite one pedal driving, but it does make a bit of a difference. You lift off and you do feel the car slow down a bit more aggressively. Personally, I think the manufacturer who've got it right with Regen is Hyundai, because the Hyundais have paddles behind the steering wheel where you can adjust the Regen up and down, and they've got about 5 different Regen modes, including an automatic Regen mode. Yeah, so this one is not bad, but it's not quite the one pedal driving, but it certainly does the trick. Now what is quite interesting is that there is no park mode for the car. It has neutral, so when you park you just pop it into neutral and pull the parking brake on, although it has got an auto parking brake as well. The only thing I found from my limited time in the car at the moment is that a couple of times I've come to stop and come to park, if I've been in drive and I wanted to park the car, or if you're a little bit too aggressive, it will go into reverse, so it can be a little bit tricky to find neutral for the first couple of attempts, but I'm sure you soon get used to that. Now the other thing to mention about the interior is the driver's seat. Now there isn't actually any height adjustment on the driver's seat. I'm 5'10", so I'm not too bad. I've got a decent bit of room between my head and the roof, but if you're a taller driver, 6 feet plus, you might find your head is brushing the roof a little bit and you can't do anything about it. The other thing which is a little bit of a pain is the adjustment for the back support. Now the adjustment for the back support on the driver's seat is right down the side here, and I haven't exactly got big hands, but trying to adjust the back support, your knuckles get in the way of this little cup holder unit here, and it is a bit of a pain. God, it hurts a little bit on your knuckles. Oh, I've got a grazed knuckle now, look. When you're trying to adjust the seat, so you kind of have to do it with your finger and thumb, so not ideal, but I'm sure once you've got your seat to your position you won't have to touch it again. Right, and here we are in the back of the car. Now as I said, I'm about 5'10", and the driver's seat is set to my driving position. I can actually slide my feet underneath the driver's seat quite well, but you do sit quite high in the back, and yeah, my head is almost on the ceiling or on the roof. So again, if taller people in the back might struggle, because these seats are set quite high, and that's partly down to where the battery is situated under the floor, so you do sit quite high in the rear, but it's not too bad. It's quite comfortable. The seats are pretty decent. There's a little bit of almost like a transmission tunnel in the middle here, so if you have got a third passenger, they might have to spread their feet either side. But down here you've also got 2 more USB ports down here, so if you've got little ones in the back who are watching iPads, they can get power from there as well, so they're not draining their battery. But yeah, it's not too bad in the back. 3 seat belts, ISOFIX as well, and visibility in the back is also pretty good, and you don't feel too claustrophobic in here. The only thing that's a bit of a shame is that this single piece seat for the front seat, this solid head restraint, you can't really see in front of you. You have to sort of bend your head round to see see where you're going. So if you've got anyone sat in the back who suffers from car sickness, you might find they're peering over the side constantly to look out the front window. But minor gripe. But yeah, not too bad in the back. I actually quite like this design on the roof of the car as well, this sort of futuristic, sort of electric-y, leafy style pattern on the roof. Yeah, quirky, but pretty nice. So what's the Zoe like to drive? Well, like I said a little minute ago, there is no height adjustment on the driver's seat. But having said that, although I do feel a little bit high, I do feel like I'm perched on top of the car a little bit, it's not too bad. I'm quite comfortable. Yeah, it does feel like I could do a fairly decent drive in the car, no problem at all. Now, putting it through a couple of corners, again, it does feel, strangely for an electric car, it does feel a little bit top heavy. I guess it is quite tall, but it might be because I'm perched up high in this seat as well. So there's a little bit of roll in the corners, a little bit of lean, but the steering's quite direct. A little bit of a dead spot around about the straight ahead position, but yeah, it certainly seems to steer okay. Yeah, and the ride of the Zoe, especially on again Devon's lovely roads, the ride's not too bad either. At lower speeds on some of the pothole roads around town, it does feel a little bit firm, but out on twisty A and B roads, it's actually quite nice and comfortable. It doesn't crash into bumps at speed. It holds the road reasonably well. Yeah, quite a comfortable ride. Okay, we're just going down a rather steep hill now, and I've got the car just in its normal drive mode. So this is its normal engine braking, and the car is slowly picking up speed, about 30 miles an hour now, 31, 32. If I knock it into B mode, it does start to hold the car back, and the speed is dropping slightly now. Yeah, in B mode, there's quite a lot of charge going back in the battery. It's actually quite aggressive. This is a steep hill, and I'm having to get back on the power again just to maintain 30 miles an hour, because it is really starting to slow the car. But like I said, not as aggressive as some of the Regen modes I've used before. But yeah, it certainly makes a difference around town. I'm just coming up to a set of traffic lights right at the bottom of this steep hill, so we'll see how well this Regen slows me down. So 25 mile an hour, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, not touching the brakes, 15 mile an hour, and now I'm on the brakes to stop for the lights. Yeah, it's not too bad. Not bad at all. Okay, we're on a nice twisty B road with a 60 limit now, so we'll have a go and see what this Zoe performs like. And this is the 135 horsepower car. I'm just entering the 60 zone now, currently at 30 miles an hour. Floor it. That's 40, 50, 60. So yeah, it feels quite sprightly. Yeah, certainly pretty good for a Super Mini. That's not too bad at all. Got some nice tight corners coming up. Oh, a bit of a lean. Oh. Hey, not bad. Oh, traction control kicked in out of that corner. It was quite wet today though. Oh yeah, the front wheels are scrabbling for grip there. Oh, I better slow down for these pedestrians. Why would you walk along a road like this? Blimey. Yeah, it's actually quite punchy. There's a lot of torque from the electric motor. It certainly picks you up and whisks you along quite nicely. You certainly notice the difference with this motor being the 135. That sort of mid-range punch over the 110 horsepower motor that you get in the rest of the Zoe range. Certainly from 40 to 60 mile an hour, you do feel the benefit of the R135. Now the R110, which I've driven very, very briefly before, around town it feels perfectly adequate, but if you are doing more longer journeys on higher speed roads, I'd probably recommend going for this 135. It does pick up speed quite nicely, and it doesn't handle too badly in the bends. A little bit rolly, and you can certainly tell it's got eco tyres on. Not massive amounts of grip, but good enough. Not quite a hot hatch, but it's alright. It's alright, I quite like it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Renault Zoe range starts at 26,995 after the government grant of £3,000. Now, the version that costs 26,995 is called the Play. Now, I've had a look at the specs of the Play, and it is rather basic. It's not available with the rapid charge option, and it's got windy up windows in the back as well. I think the last car I owned with windy up windows was a 1982 MG Metro. But yeah, so it is quite a basic spec. The next model up, which is probably the biggest seller, is the Iconic. That one you can specify as standard or with the rapid charge option, but it has a lot more equipment to standard. Yeah, that's the one that I think most people would tend to go for. And then this one here, the GT line, this one just adds a little bit more. Certainly with the bigger electric motor, certainly feels a bit more sprightly. Yeah, bigger alloy wheels on this one as well. The other electric cars that sits in this price band with the Zoe, you have the Peugeot E208, which I personally think is a cracking looking electric car. Yes, it hasn't quite got the range of the Zoe, but it's certainly one to consider. And the other one is the Vauxhall E. Now that one is very, very similar price to the entry point Zoe. So yeah, if you're after an electric car this sort of price point, have a look at the Corsa as well. Now this one, if you are tempted with the GT line Zoe and you go for the rapid charge option, it comes in at around about £31,000. Now, a bit of a left field choice, but for £500 less, you can actually get the Hyundai Ioniq 38 kilowatt. Now, the Ioniq will give you a bit more rear passenger space, a bit more room up front as well. It's a slightly bigger car. Yes, it hasn't got quite as big a battery as this one, hasn't quite got the range, but it's a bit of a left field choice. I'm quite a fan of the Ioniq. It is one of the most efficient EVs on the market. Now, one of the bugbears that I have with the Zoe is that it's 2020, nearly 2021, and Renault charge £1,000 extra to have rapid charging capability. Really? Charging extra for rapid charging? Yeah. I know some people out there will probably say, oh, that's fine, I'm not interested in rapid charging, it's going to be a town car for me. I'm never going to take it on a long journey beyond the range of the battery, so I'll save myself £1,000, which is fair enough, I can understand that. The only concern that I have is what will happen depreciation-wise to those Zoes that have not got rapid charge capability. So yes, you might be saving £1,000 at the front end, but I'll pretty much guarantee when you come to part exchange the car or sell it privately, everyone's going to be looking for that rapid charge capability. So yeah, you might save £1,000 at the front, but it might cost you more than that come resale time. So I think I would definitely spec the rapid charge capability, even if I didn't think I was going to benefit from it. Now, I know I've just given the entry point to the range, the Play, a little bit of a knock for being quite basic. But if you're a private individual looking at buying one of these cars, I personally would avoid the Play. I'd go for the Iconic and the GT line. I think those two specs will give you everything you'd ever need, but spec the rapid charge. But however, the Play edition, if you are a fleet manager watching this, the Play edition could well be a very, very good affordable EV for your fleet. Dirt cheap to run, cheap to buy, and it could just be the perfect fleet car or company car. In particular, like estate agents that have to go out visiting houses, it's going to be a cheap company car to run. So yeah, although I gave the Play a bit of a knock for its spec, it does have a place, and I think that place is on the fleet market, company car drivers. Okay, so let's test its 0 to 60. So flat road, here we go. And 60. Now Renault claim a 9.5 second 0 to 60 time. I don't know actually what it did it, but I'll put it on the screen. But yeah, it felt pretty quick. Not too bad at all. Okay, so first impressions of the Zoe, my first day in the car. I've been driving it around a little while now, and yeah, it is better than I thought it would be, to be fair. I didn't really know what to expect. It's been a long time since I drove the original Zoe, and I've kind of forgotten what it was like. But it's quieter than I thought it would be. There's less road noise coming up from the tyres. I thought it'd be a bit noisier, but it's actually very well insulated. You do get a bit of wind noise around about the A-pillar and the wing mirrors, but that's to be expected. It's no worse than any other EV I've driven. But yeah, overall, it's actually quite a pleasant car to drive. Not too bad at all. And yeah, if you're looking for a super mini sized car, whether you're going to use it around town or you are intending using it on longer journeys as well, yeah, I can quite easily see why Auto Express awarded it the affordable EV of the year 2020. Personally, if it was going to be my only car and I wanted a car this size, then yes, I think I would go for the Zoe. Especially with the range of the battery, 245 mile range, 52 kilowatt battery. It makes longer journeys, should make them a lot easier, and hopefully I'll find out tomorrow. But if you're buying the car as a second car and range isn't too much of an issue, yeah, I'd certainly go and check out the Peugeot E208, Corsa E, and maybe even the Hyundai Ioniq. Yeah, all similarly priced cars, quite well equipped, decent looking cars. But yeah, if range is important, then you can't really do better than the Zoe at this price point. So yeah, quite impressed. And I'll look forward to seeing you on part 2 for the range test. We'll see just how far I can get this Zoe on a single charge. I'll catch you in part 2. Now seriously, how would you open this? Yeah. The rapid charge capability. Now the Zoe is one of the most affordable Okay, as this car is called Zoe, I wonder if it'll go faster if you annoy it. So yes, Zoe, I was checking out that rear end on the other car. Whoa! Holy sh!